Welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. Where we left off before, we had just landed on Duna, and then crashed a probe trying to land it at the something strange. Oh well. So we're going to miss that one, but it's not the end of the world. What we're going to do now is we are going to get this return ship home from Duna to Kerbin. Alright, we've got a year and 23 days to get our return trajectory. So we'll speed up time a little bit. So what I'm hoping to do in this episode is get this mission home and get our next mission prepared, which is going to be a double landing, I hope, on Duna and Ike. So that'll be interesting. Now, how we go about that, I have something planned. We'll see if it pans out. Basically, I'm going to launch... I'm going to replace the little atmospheric landing probe on top of our return ship. Excuse me for a second. I'm going to replace the atmospheric landing probe on top of the return ship with a universal lander. And I'm going to have to beef up the booster a little bit. Our little Zenithar return ship might end up needing a little bit of extra power. Alright, so now... Oh, good. Very convenient. Alright, now you can use Ike as a gravity assist. I'm not going to. Oh, did we already? We did. Alright, so... Yes. Okay. All right, so now we're going to want to plan our retro burn, get us back to Kerbin. Easy peasy. That's a kind of easy retro maneuver I like to see. 814 meters per second should be just fine. You can see we've got quite a bit of delta V, so we're doing all right there. Now, Duna may get in the way on this retro burn. We'll see. Burning out of Duna the way I did is a little bit more fuel efficient, but sometimes it makes the return retro burn a little bit more stupid. It's a trade-off. Alright, that should be fine there. And... come on. Alright. Oh, and you know what? That extra patched conic is cramping my style. I think that's going to be like a rendezvous with the moon or something. Let me try this. Yeah, that got rid of it. Okay. And you know what? Just to make extra sure. Okay, good. We've got all that science stored out there. That is good. Anything out here to do? Yeah, 14. It's almost not worth it. Because we are going to be bringing home a motherload of science from that landing on Duna. And as you can see, like, you know, we're only like midway through the career in terms of progression. Like achievements, you know, landing on other planets, planting flags, doing probes, you know, like progression achievement. But we are in a position where we can max out the tech tree without a whole lot of effort. Yeah. So, you know, when I do the, you know, the custom mod that I run myself with my custom tech tree, one of the things I do is I dramatically increase the research cost of the tier 3 technologies so that you actually have to work to, you know, to unlock the tech tree. Instead of like 500 per node, it's like, you know, 2,500 per node. Alright, and that's going to be 44 mil. Let's try this. Good to know. Alright, so we've got our periapsis pretty low. We're going to have a relatively good intercept. This should be almost simplistic to bring in and land. Yeah, look at that. Coming in from Duna, we got our periapsis inside the moon's orbit. Easy peasy. We've still got a ridiculous amount of delta V. So we can even just do our retro burn right here. Because we're coming in on the dark side. Utter simplicity. It's what we like. We'll get this orbit down. Then we'll switch to our Zenithar's service module engine. It really does end up being a pretty robust design. Not bad. Alright, we're going for 30,000 periapsis. $34, close enough. And our 3 crew members returning home triumphant from the first flag planting on Duna. How awesome is that? That's going to be a buttload of science. Whole bunch of contracts and stuff. That got close there for a second. The aerodynamic forces on that time warp tried to orient the capsule to return in nose first instead of heat shield first. That actually could have been pretty bad. Do not want that at all. Now, where are we? Middle of the Southern Ocean. That's fine. Coming in nice and soft. Now, right now, we are at 219 science. Just remember that number. Because I have a sneaking suspicion it's going to jump up by quite a bit. Now that'll complete us our flag planting contract. A whole bunch of extra science. Come on. $1,946. So we got like 1,700 science from that one mission. You see how crazy unbalanced and easy it is to like max out the tech tree with the default stuff? Alright, this, yeah, that's going to be a thing coming up real soon. This is going to be important for some stuff here. Actuators aren't super important, but they can be for reasons. Now, where is... Yeah, the toroidal arrow spike actually becomes an important thing to have later on. That's actually a really good, efficient engine. And these large probes are also pretty good. But I don't quite have the 1,000. So for right now, I'm just going to start snagging up some of these cheaper techs. There we go. Alright, see what we can do. We can do plant a flag on Duna again for fairly good amount of funding. Look at that. Minmus 3 cores. Duna, the Moon, and Minmus. That's crazy. Rendezvous in orbit of Kerbal. I haven't done that? Huh. Alright. We're definitely going to plant the flag on Duna again. I was kind of hoping Yeah, space around Duna. That's a no-brainer. Another quick 100,000. We could even get that off a probe. What I was kind of hopeful for was a mission to plant a flag on Ike. Not getting it, though. Oh, there it is. All right, good. Good, good. And look at that. Oh, it's juicy. All right. So now we got to think a little bit about our mission planning. We can send another universal lander and probably land it as is on Ike. But this is where things get a little interesting. I'm almost thinking I want to change the mission paradigm a little bit and use Akatosh as my base instead of Zenithar. Purely because it'll be a bit simpler for Delta V purposes. So, we can use this. It's extremely lightweight. And we can construct a one-person lander. And with this, right? I'm just gonna demonstrate something here. Let me get. So, by building something like this, and with a couple of asparagus tanks out here on the side, we will have an absolutely ridiculous amount of Delta V. Yeah. Just look at that. This is like 4,000 Delta V right there. So that's insane in a very good way. Now, if we wanted to reduce the diameter of this, we could even use smaller tanks, right? And use a few more of them. Let me... Where'd it go? There it is. still an absolutely ridiculous amount of delta V. And we can fit this into a relatively small fairing. And I mean, we can even, like, you know, have some scientific stuff up here. Yeah, I'm really liking this. This is a fairly robust sort of a little gig we've got going on. I'm liking this quite a bit. So let me do this. We're going to get some... Here we are. Actually, no, you know what? I got an idea. Even better. Okay, now we're going to want to strut this monstrosity together. Not bad. All right, sorry, I've been thinking out loud there. All right, so now we're going to have to do some long-range communications. That's going to be relatively important, actually. And we'll get all of our stuff here going. Do we still have... I don't remember if we have... You know what? I have a quick way to find out. All right. I don't think we have a science container. But there's a quick way to remedy that. I can just add one in. So, no big deal there. And just to make sure, because it's been a while since we used this design. That should be fine. Okay. And that way we are collecting all of our science onto our little return probe there. All right, now let's get some additional battery going. And we're going to want some additional solar panels. modules. I haven't really used these yet. How big are those? They're big, but we don't really need them. Those will be more useful once we get some Xeon engine stuff going. Oh, whoops. It's gonna conflict with the antenna there. Don't want that. Okay. This isn't bad. So then it'll just be a matter of getting this places, which shouldn't be too difficult. But before that, we're going to go to our universal lander, and we're going to take this bottom part, and we're going to make it a sub-assembly. For a smaller universal lander. And we're getting close to the end of the tech tree. So I'm at the point now where honestly I don't have to bother with taking a full science package with me on every mission. I don't have to bring the science module. Actually, you know, I don't even... There we go. I don't have to bring the full science lab. I don't have to bring the goo, all that stuff. I can honestly just get away with a couple of really basic, small science experiments. And we're going to do group 1, collect all, because that's what we always do. So this one will be a bit lighter. Oh, you know what? I just realized when we did the Azura 2 landing, I forgot to do the surface analysis. Whoops. Minor detail, minor detail. So this will have an enormous amount of delta V. This is pretty chunky. So let me get a ladder on this thing. We'll put that into group 2. Alright, now we're going to need electricity, solar power, and communications and all that. I'm just going to clip those in. Let's get some basic solar panels. Okay. And it would be good if we had some kind of a radio. Decent. And again, this will have an enormous amount of delta V because we're lifting even less weight than with that other one. So let's take a look, right? So this is 0.56 tons. Lander can was 1.3. So we're lifting half the weight. Yeah, I think that'll work pretty well. So now we'll take our Akatosh interplanetary. Now the catch is this would involve a much larger fairing, right? So if I do this, even with retracting the legs, we still need an absolutely ludicrous fairing here. But, you know, I might be able to live with that. I'm just kind of thinking how I might want to structure a couple of these elements. Let's try this. Okay. Not a lot of thrust, because we've added a lot of extra chunky dead weight there. And especially if we put a descent stage up on top of that. So, I'm kind of thinking... Yeah, that'll work out. All right. I've got a master plan here. Whoops. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to do this Soviet style. We're going to put the lander below our return ship, and our retro stage is going to act as the descent stage for the lander. So this is going to land on Ike. And then after it lands on Ike, this should have more than enough delta V to get us out of Ike into Duna to rendezvous with the Duna lander, which will be sent separately, and do stuff there. And below here will, this stuff that ends up being down there will be our descent stage for the lander, in addition to, like, maneuvering around Duna and all of that. That'll work. Oh, struts. Whew. Alright, so yeah, that's about as high as we're going to get it in the VAB. Alright, now this is where things get a little crazy. Oh yeah, the staging for this. Oh boy. Yeah, the staging for all of this is going to be a complete disaster. But that's alright. Let me get some struts going. That's fine. Alright, so now descent stage into Ike. That should be good. Now I need to get this to Ike. That was a little weird. That was a little better. Okay. Oh, this is going to be an enormous rocket. Oh, man. Do I have the flatter? I don't. It's going to have to be one of these. Alright, that's fine. Well, oh, you know what? Go big or go home. We're getting far along in the career mode. We can start to do crazy stuff like this. So we're going to start to build up our fairing. Oh, I can't even. Oh, it's too high. Of all the problems. Okay, there we go. Alright, so now this monstrosity is going to be going to Ike. And a mainsail should be relatively good for that. That'll be our retro burn. Maybe. Alright, so now we need to get this to Duna. And this is where stuff starts getting a little crazy, as if this wasn't already pretty crazy, right? Where is my... I always lose the fuel tanks that I need. That's not a lot of Delta V. Yeah, you know what? We're just gonna go big right away. Get some aerodynamic fins. This may end in complete disaster, I'm not sure. But we're going to stick some SRBs off the side. I know you're shocked. And we'll strut these puppies down. Okay. We're going to be relying quite a bit on that first stage. It's going to be very inefficient, but I think it'll probably work out okay. And we'll get some launch clamps going. Launch clamps are always extremely important for a big chunky monster like this. Ooh. Alright, and let's check our crew. No, this goes unmanned. Or does it? No, this will take a crew member, because we're landing on Ike first. Yeah. I just want to make sure that we can get this thing into orbit. We're going to do an F5. Get some Kraken insurance. It's taking a while to load, as we have made a big chunky rocket. Look at this thing. Oh man. What could possibly go wrong? We're getting there, kinda. We're at least moving in the right direction. We're going to slowly start a gravity turn. A very gentle gravity turn. I'm always very nervous with a big heavy rocket like this. Solid booster separation can be, dangerous, as we've seen once or twice in the past. So, got to be a little careful. Uh-oh, that bottom booster's getting a little hot. That could be extremely bad. We'll find out soon. Oh, that was close. That was close. All right, let's make sure this thing will be able to get into orbit. Oh. It's always a little risky doing a physics warp on something this big. Come on. Come on, get in orbit. Get in orbit. Yeah, I'm actually thinking this might not have as much delta V as I had hoped. Which is ironic. But we'll roll with it. What's the worst that can happen? Right, was it 2? Yes. Oh, whoops. We'll retract that. Okay. Now let's get our Duna lander into orbit. Now for our lander mission, I'm gonna have to modify it slightly, um, and stick a huge antenna dish on the top. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. Come on. So this is already a relatively proven design, but we're going to use that one-person lander instead. So oh no, you know what? I have to do it slightly different. There we go. That way we can send it up without any crew. Alright, and it's yeah. There we go. Yeah, that'll be a thing. Alright. I am also going to have to add some additional solar panels up onto that top stage. That'll be fine. Alright. And we'll throw some extra batteries on there just for good measure. Okay. Just going through checking our staging. Wow, the staging actually worked okay. Huh. Not bad. Alright. Last thing. And where did it stick those? Alright, that'll work. And we'll set these. Perfect. And we'll build our fairing up. All right, and we already know that this works. So I'm going to feel a little empowered to just launch this into orbit. And hope for the best on it. Any minute now. Wouldn't want to rush these things. Kraken Insurance. Up we go. All right, we are primarily relying on the thrust of these Clydesdale engines, because they are nice and chunky. They provide an absolutely ridiculous amount of thrust, which allows us to really conserve on the amount of fuel that we're using out of our core stage there. And if you remember from the last launch, I mean, this is almost a single stage to orbit vehicle. A little bit more insurance on the way up. Almost getting ready to do our little jettison. We have completely cut the throttle from our core stage. Perfect. Look at that. That worked out extremely well. Alright, so we'll get this big hunkin' chunk of explosive fuel and metal up into a good altitude. And circularize our orbit. Come on. Just thinking about it. Wouldn't want to rush these things. And while we're at it, we can jettison our fairing there. There we go. Alright, we've circularized our orbit. And we can deploy all of these solar panels. Okay. Now this will be ready to get to Duna. So I'm going to call this an episode. Make sure to check out the next one where we're going to do a double landing. We're going to land on Ike and Duna, basically in the same little sortie there. As always, thanks for watching.